We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful. But we have lost the way. We think too much and feel too little. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost.
What I tell people is the best advice that I've ever heard, the best advice I ever came up with, is that live your life like you're the hero in your movie. And right now is when the fucking movie starts and your life is a shitbag disaster, like every fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he wakes up and makes a blender full of pizza and ice cream, and that's what he, you know what I mean? Yeah. Those guys where they're like on the brink, they put the gun in their mouth and they put it down because they see a photo of their daughter. Pretend that's you. Pretend you are, right now, you're in the part of the movie that starts and it shows you as a fucking loser. And just decide not to be a loser anymore. Live your life like there's a documentary crew following you around and you are analyzing your own behavior. Do what you would want to do so that your kids one day would look back at it and see that documentary and look on it with pride. Like, wow, my dad was a bad motherfucker. He really did what he had to do. Wow, my mom really got her shit together. I love a success story, but even more than a success story, I like a dude who fucks his life up and then gets it back together again story. Those are my favorite stories. And the way to do that, you gotta write shit down. You gotta think that you are the hero in your own fucking movie, and then you gotta sit down and you gotta write shit down. Write down what you need to do.
Most people play the role of the victim in the movie, right?
Sure. Yeah, this life is fucking me over, man. I could have had this and I should have had that. And why does this guy get that? And why does that guy get this? And all things that are completely unrelated to you. Yeah. All things that you find other people's success as a downfall in your own existence. Instead of being inspired, instead of choosing to be positive, instead of like improving constantly on the direction of trying to achieve whatever the fuck you have written down, you just sit around and spiral. You know, there's nothing more miserable than sitting around someone who's fucking complaining all the time. It is one of the most annoying things ever. Everybody hates it. When someone just sits around and they complain about their life and they don't do jack shit about it. And you tiptoe around it. You don't know what to say. Well, she gets upset when you bring that up. I don't want to bring that up. And you want to go, you fucking crazy bitch. You know what's wrong with your life. Yeah. Stop announcing it to everybody else and go out and fix that shit.
And that's tough love.
Tough love is what everybody needs,
absolutely.
Me included. Folks, it ain't about that. It ain't about the guy who tries buying a clean car when you're dirty. It's not his fault. It's you should figure out how to be clean. You should figure out how to do a job that doesn't involve you walking in mud all day. And that's possible because somebody else has done it. I don't buy the idea that, you know, the society the way it is right now, it has to be this way. Someone's always going to have to work at Burger King. Someone's always going to have to... I don't buy that. I think people are pretty fucking flexible. If you look at the broad spectrum of humans and human behavior from different cultures all over the world, it's pretty obvious to me that there's a lot of different ways that people can act. We don't have to have fast food workers. We don't have to have people who work shit jobs. We don't have to. We just need to figure out how to restructure society so everybody somehow or another plays a part, has something to contribute, has something to share. I mean, that's what a real society is supposed to be like. I give you some coconuts, you give me some fish. You know, we make a deal, and you do it back and forth and left and right. And when there's nothing to contribute, then you start looking, the president needs to give us jobs. We need jobs. So instead of something to contribute, you just find something to do with your time. And then it becomes about doing that more than it becomes about finding something to contribute. So society gets wrapped around becoming a part of a machine. Society, instead of becoming a bunch of individuals that are expressing themselves in unique ways, and everybody sort of borrows and shares and sells this and you sell that, and we all sort of figure out how we can contribute in a society, we got sidetracked and diverted into these boxes that they call companies and corporations, and we got stuck into these containers. They go cubicles or offices, and we got forced into this system. So our time, instead of it being invested in making pottery or fixing cars or doing something where you have a passion or you have some sort of a connection to, instead of that, you've sold your life to sit in a box and work for a machine, an uncaring machine that demands productivity. It doesn't understand you. It doesn't want to understand you. It has a bunch of very strict things in order to keep the humor at a minimum in the office, just in case one of you fuckheads says some stupid sex jokes that gets them sued and they have to give somebody $1 million. So get it together, and this is your life now. No natural behavior. Everybody's wearing clothes they don't want to wear. Everybody's showing up and doing something they don't want to do. They have no connection to. That's the problem with our society. And then what's the reward for all this stuff? Go home, get a big TV. Go home, you're going to get a shiny belt buckle. You're going to get a nice purse. You're going to wear shoes that you couldn't afford last week. You're going to get that dream car. And every week we're chasing down this new object. And every week we're trying to fill this hole in this sad shadow of a life that we've been left with after work. That you work 8 to whatever hours a day plus commuting, and then you're like this. And that's your life. That's your real fucking life. All that other stuff is not your life anymore. All that other stuff is work. And most of us have committed to that. I know you've been there before, and I've been there before. And we understand that it's a trap because we got out of it. But for the people that are in it, a lot of times they don't even understand it's a trap. They just think it's a good job. They think they got dental. I'm doing really good. I got my own parking spots, got my name on it. And you're just a piece of a heartless, shitty machine that makes money.
But don't you think you have to go through all that just to figure out what you want to do? Because
no,
I mean, I think
I did. But I don't think you have to. Look, I did, but when I became a comedian when I was 21, I was 100% convinced that I was going to be a stand-up comedian for the rest of my life. Like, I didn't need to worry about what was next. I was like, this is what I'm doing. Like, I don't want to do anything else. Like, this is what I'm doing. Once I found it, I was good. All the jobs were just to feed myself while I was trying to make that work. But it's, to get one and commit to it and have it become a part of your life becomes really problematic, because if you were a dirtbag like myself who drove limos and did construction and did all these, almost kind of temporary jobs that a lot of people drift in and out of, there's nothing expected of you. But if you get hired by a major corporation and become a big part of their program, like let's say you're also an animator and you get a gig. Like I have a friend who was an illustrator, and he was working for Nickelodeon, and he got fired, and he was panicking, and he was like, shit, I don't know what the fuck to do. He's like, I gotta figure out another job. So he started making paintings and selling his paintings. It was the greatest thing that's ever happened to him. Now his name's Todd White. He's a super successful artist. He makes like this kind of martini style, like cocktails from the like cocktail parties from the 1920s. Like those cool kind of cartoonish martini glass things. He's got a real specific, distinctive style. It's really cool. But he's a great artist. And he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I know him from Jean-Jacques Machado's. He's a great guy, but it was an opportunity for him to lose a job, and even a job that he loved as an illustrator. But, I'm sure he'd much rather do what he wants to do and do what's going on in his mind.
Oh, that's cool stuff.
Oh, he's really cool. He's badass. And he's a great guy, too. Very cool guy.
Feeling I have toward my family, and in terms of negativity, this is the number one thing where I think I have a gift. I have ability. I have something to share with the world, and you assholes were going to watch me dig ditches or fucking roof houses and Van Nuys for the rest of my life. God damn, that's what you tried. You didn't burn calories doing it, but you still set me on a course where you took my voice and you basically doused it with sand and said, go ahead and get on a roof. And I mean, when I said to my dad, I'm digging ditches for a living, he's like, yeah, okay. What about it? There was never a second where anyone said, hey man, you got something there. You should write that down. That's a good one. Right. The advice I would give is you're never going to feel the way my buddy Donnie in the next room feels about himself, because he grew up with a family that I think they had his first solid BM put in lucite, and his mom still uses it as a paperweight, or it's hanging from the rearview mirror of her Denali. Either way, you're just never going to feel the way about yourself that I'll liken it to this. It's like a car that rolled over a few times. And no matter how much paint and Bondo you put on it, that door on the passenger side, it's always going to be a little sticky. Never going to shut. Never going to shut like a car door that never got rolled. Right. You've been rolled. You got T-boned by a drunk driver at some point, and that door is always going to be a little bit sticky. That ain't a death sentence. The first way to get out of that is you're the only one who truly knows what's going on inside of your head.
And what makes you happy.
And what makes you effective. And the point is the rest of the world, you show them a winner, you show them an efficient person, you show them a happy person, you show them a person that's a good employee, you show them a person that's a good husband or a good father or a good neighbor. You show them that person, they'll take your word for it. So first things first, whatever chaos is going on in your head, it can stay in your head. It does not have to be projected onto the rest of the world. You can climb the corporate ladder and be CEO of Nabisco and have all the negative thoughts in your fucking head bouncing around like a ball inside a spray can if you show up to work on time every day, if you clean the gravy stains off your suit lapel, if you act as if. I always talk to Drew about this. Maybe you're crazy. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you feel like shit inside. Act as if you're successful. There's a certain way where, and eventually, you will become that person. Meaning, okay, you have a certain amount of sadness in you, and you have a certain amount of depression, and you have a certain amount of, you fill in the negative blank. Get up and do 20 push-ups every morning. And I know you feel like shit. And I know maybe it's twice as hard for you to do 20 push-ups as a guy who feels good about himself. But I want 20 push-ups. And by the way, at a certain point, tell your biceps and your shoulders you haven't done 20 push-ups. They don't listen. They don't care. You do 20 push-ups, your shoulders will respond the same way a happy, well-adjusted, athletic person's body will adjust. Just get up and do it. Just get the fuck up and do it. You feel depressed? Go for a jog. You feel too depressed to go for a jog? Go another mile. Just push your ass off and start pushing yourself. And I know it sounds sort of, it's a little pie in the sky, and it's like you don't understand depression. I understand depression. I had many years of physically feeling like I couldn't get out of bed, and I was never like, you don't deserve to live, and I was never like, you deserve everything in life. It was just, life's a bitch, and then you die. And I just want to tell anyone who's listening to this who doesn't feel like they deserve anything, act as if. Just start physically moving, because the depression brings you down, and it physically atrophies you, and you have trouble getting out of bed. Like my mom spent the better part of her life just unable to move. And I will tell you that once you break through that gill net that you feel, that wet gill net of depression that's on top of you. A gill net is what dolphins get caught in, that are dragged behind Japanese trawlers, and it's easier than pulling them up one fish at a time. That net that's just hanging over you. Well, at a certain point, when you become productive and you start breaking out of that depression and you start accomplishing things in your life, it becomes addictive. And just as addictive as eating the Haagen-Dazs and spending the day in your bathrobe and beating off 12 times a day and not picking up the telephone, just as addictive as that may have felt at a certain time, well, then writing a book and working on an independent movie and working on a podcast and an idea for an invention and whatever it is and whatever your thing is will become equally as addicting, and you will start taking on life in the exact opposite direction that you're going now. But the first part is just you have to beat yourself up because people beat you up coming up. Meaning you need to kick your own ass. You need to go to you need to create your own boot camp, which is get your ass out of bed and start moving.
Yeah.
Pick it up. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. For me, it started always with that coffee mug that would be rattling around the passenger floor of my truck. I'd stare at it, pick it up.
I can't possibly pick that up.
I'll get it tomorrow. Now, get it now. You know what? It can stay till tomorrow. Yeah, but then you'll bring another mug in there, and it's going to clank around, and the handle's going to break. And I realized I just spent 20 minutes sitting in my... Don't spend 20 minutes staring at the mug.
Just do it.
Go get it.
Yeah.
And eventually... you'll just be that person that grabs the mug and brings it into the kitchen. Maybe you're insane. Maybe you're lazy. Maybe you're depressed. But you know what? The mug's in the sink.
The time I was 14 on, I was just completely immersed in martial arts.
Yeah.
So I barely partied. I barely hung out. I barely socialized.
Did you feel like, because kids either feel cool or not cool, did you sort of feel not judged one way or the other because you had something?
I definitely never felt cool. I was always insecure, even when I was really good at something, like martial arts, even though that was like the first thing I was really good at. I still would get super nervous if I go to talk to someone at a bank. Like if I go to a bank teller, I'd get nervous. I was getting in fist fights and I wouldn't get nervous, but I'd get talking to a bank teller, I'd stumble over my words, you know. I was definitely insecure. I think every kid is, you know, the kids that aren't are idiots. If you don't look at the entire possibility of life in front of you, the entirety of the possibilities, the massive amount of things that can or might happen, not having any idea whether or not you're proceeding in the right direction, not having any idea. If you don't get paranoid, if you don't get freaked out looking at that, if you don't start thinking about, you know, how small a piece you play in this little thing and how do you figure yourself out and how do you get through this, right? If you don't feel uncomfortable, if you don't feel insecure, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You should feel terrified.
You can't on any given night stop and look around and go, what am I doing?
No.
You got to just keep marching forward.
Well, it's also because you're a 21-year-old man at the time. And when you're 21, you don't have much time to, you have to make a living. You're now out of the nest, okay? You're on your own. And how much time do you have to establish a career? How much time do you have to get things going? Well, you don't have time to sit back and kick back and relax and not make any fucking progress.
Right.
You got to get going.
We're going to take longer to make it. The guys that just say, I'm going to live off this shit money, because when you're that miserable, you work harder. You push yourself harder. You gotta paint yourself into a corner a little bit.
Well, you definitely have to be uncomfortable. And that's something that people don't like to do. But in order to grow, you got to get uncomfortable. And there's a lot of people out there that just don't want that. They want to get as cozy as possible, as warm as possible, as quickly as possible, and never get anywhere because of it.
Depressed. Being depressed is a truly satanic state. Because, in general, the depression has gone beyond being circumstantial, has gone beyond being a result of stimulus outside of yourself, and is now just a result of some kind of reoccurring awful cascade that's actually maybe even created changes in your neurology in a way that your shit is firing your engines aren't firing appropriately. So you feel tired. You can't get anything done. Anything that you want to get done doesn't get done because you feel so tired, and you feel alone, and you feel like everything around you is tasteless and empty. And I speak from a place of having been deep in that horrible pit. And I know a lot of it's kind of a gateway, and the gatekeeper is yourself. And the gatekeeper is asking you this incredible riddle at every moment, which is, why live? And if you can answer that riddle, the gate will swing open and you will be allowed out of this awful net and into the party that is modern life, that so many people think is a living and horrific hell. So this is where the Satan word comes in really handy when you're in this fucking awful dungeon of depression, because here's a really interesting thing you can do. You will find that when you're depressed, your attention is being grabbed every second by either negative thought patterns or by external hypnotic devices. For example, TV, video games, the internet, or bad people that you shouldn't be around. And if you see these variables, if just for fun as a thought experiment, you think to yourself, at this moment, I am in a hypnotic trance where I am being distracted by Satan in the form of the various indulgences that I keep going for, it sort of raises the stakes a little bit. Because if you just think, yeah, you know, I'm just going to fucking sit down and play Minecraft for the next 5 hours, you can almost do it. It still feels like shit. You know it sucks. You're sitting there in this sort of decrepit state, smelling your underarms and looking at this cigarette burn in the ashtray and maybe smelling your fucking cat litter box that needs to get changed, and looking at the various like cum-soaked tissues and the shit scattered all around your house. You know it sucks. But if you think, holy fuck, I am in the intestinal tract of Satan, and these video games and bad people and alcohol and drugs and laziness are the acids that are dissolving my will and have dissolved my will to the point that I can barely move. I'm stuck like one of those mice on those horrific, sadistic gummy traps that they get stuck on, and I'm just in the last moments of my life underneath some dark cabinet waiting for someone to throw me into a garbage can or drown me. Suddenly it might spark this thing inside of you that makes you decide to fight. Because that's what the fucking trick is, man. This is where it gets fun. Is because suddenly you realize that your life, which up until this point might have just seemed like some kind of empty wandering through the synthetic plastic landscape that is modern life, transforms into a kind of Tolkien-esque battle against the Dark Lord Sauron. You can name it whatever you want, by the way. You don't have to call it Satan. I mean, it's kind of an antiquated term. You can call him Frenchie. You can call him Mr. Trips. You can call him Lord Darius if you want to. You get to name the fucking thing. But it's fun to personify the negative entropic distraction mechanisms that have arisen in your life and recognize that you are in a sacred battle with Frenchie. And if you win this battle, this wrestling match, this combat session, this fucking mortal battle against this terrific foe, which can transform into so many delightful things, then you will climb out of it a warrior. You can overcome the depression. You just have to first recognize that you're in a fight for your life. Literally, you're in a fight for your fucking life if you're depressed. Literally, a fight for your fucking life. And what does it mean? What does it mean? It means that like every single aspect, every single thing surrounding you, the porn, the shitty food, the fucked up girlfriend or boyfriend, the friend that only hurts you instead of giving you positive guidance and love, the family member that could have molested you when you were growing up, the person you're pretending to forgive that you haven't really forgiven. All of these are like the heads on the the writhing hydra of Mr. Frenchie, Satan. Call it whatever you want, Queenie. Recognize it for what it is. And then, when you raise the stakes and work yourself into a Braveheart style warrior stance and decide that you want to live, that's when you put up the fucking fight. And part of you that tells you, no, I'm tired. Let's just rest a little longer. Let's just lay down for a little longer. Let's just put it off till tomorrow to go to the gym. Let's put it off till tomorrow to go outside and run. Let's put it off till tomorrow to do the push-ups. Let's put it off till tomorrow to tell that fuck face to get the fuck out of our lives. Let's put it off till tomorrow to live. And if you're like me, every time that voice comes into your mind, you'll think, how many fucking tomorrows do I have? How many tomorrows have I put off? You'll find that you're surrounded by stacks of tomorrows that have become yesterdays, surrounding you like rotting fruit. And you just keep stacking those days onto that pile of rotting fruit as you lay there surrounded by the bloat flies, the demonic forces that whirl around you in the form of unpaid bills, belly fat, and bad friends. You gotta wake the fuck up and fight the fight, or die, or just fucking die. Pull on those old fucking gym shorts. Put on those old stinky fucking sneakers. Some gross fucking shirt. Go outside and run around the fucking block. It's as easy as that. That's the first fucking battle. That's the first fight against Mr. Frenchie. Whatever you want to call Satan. And the reaction you'll have will be an immediate sense of like, let's just wait. Let's put it off. Let's put it off. Let's put it off. Let's put it off. Just do it. Just go do it. Just go fucking do it right now. Take the first step in the battle. That's the most important one. And let yourself get angry. These cock-sucking fuck faces will try to teach you that anger is wrong. Anger is good. Righteous anger is a good form of anger. You need it. This is a war for your fucking life. Your head is being held underwater by the forces of entropy. Only it's worse than water. It's some sick, syrupy, sap-like shit that flows out of the cock of Lucifer. And you're in it like a little fucking bug in amber, just floating in there, lost in an entropic world where you can't reach your goals because you feel tired all the fucking time. Easy fix. Jog around the fucking block. If you can't jog around the block, do some form of physical exercise. If you can't do a physical exercise, chant a fucking mantra. If you can't chant a fucking mantra, chant it in your head. But you've got to work yourself up into a war pitch to begin the initial movements out of the state of victimhood and into survivor mode. That wonderful place when you gaze around the battlefield and stare at the desiccated corpses that once had such great power over you.
We just need to figure out how to restructure society so everybody somehow or another plays a part, has something to contribute, has something to share. I mean, that's what a real society is supposed to be like.
In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure.
want you to ponder these 4 questions. The first question to ponder when you go home is why? Why go this far? Why try to learn this much? Why study? Why put yourself out? Why try to earn as much as you can earn, share as much as you can share? Why try to become all that you can possibly become? Why develop yourself to the full? Why try to do it all? Why try to take on this much responsibility? Develop every skill you possibly can, see every human you possibly can, go to every class you possibly can, touch everybody you possibly can. Why do that much? Why go that far? Why share that much? Why give that much away? Why try to see everything? Why try to do everything? Why try to become everything? The first question to ponder when you go home is why. Here's another good answer to why. It's the second question. Why not? Why not see how much you can earn? Why not see how much you can learn? Why not see how many skills you can develop? Why not see what kind of person you can become? Why not see what kind of influence you can have? Why not see how many people you can rescue from oblivion? I want you to take that personal. Why not? Why not? You've got to stay here till you go. I mean, what else are you going to do? Why not see how much you can do, how far you can go? Now here's number 3. Why not you? You've got the brains. You can make decisions. You can study the plan. You can change your life. You can grow immensely in the next few years. You can make your dreams come true. You can build a financial wall around your family nothing can get through. You can become healthy. You can become powerful. Why not you? My very last question on the questions to ponder is why not now? There never was a better time. And what a time now for us to take this dream and not let it die. Take this dream and give it life. Take this dream and breathe into it your own personal spirit until finally it becomes a flame that burns around the whole world.